The legacy of FromSoftware's Souls series isn't just defined by the amazing games that it's made up of, but also the subgenre that's been given life thanks to its very existence, the Soulslike. It's a complicated thing though. Every fan of these games knows that defining the term Soulslike is about as easy as beating Melania without summons or cheese strats. Developer FromSoftware's influence on the industry has been so profound that slivers of its DNA can be found everywhere, from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Death Stranding to Dead Cells and 2018's God of War. At this point, what game featuring towering bosses or encouraged exploration doesn't seem at least a little Souls-like? To keep our ranking somewhat coherent, we're boiling the essence of Soulslike down to a number of key building blocks. To be eligible for this list, a game must have punishing consequences for death, a currency gained by defeating enemies that is integral to character progression and can be lost upon death, deliberate combat, typically tied to a stamina meter or similar resource, and checkpoints that reset the world. While those are the essentials, we're also looking for a complex narrative, impressive boss battles, an immersive world made up of interconnected levels, and as little hand-holding, spoon-feeding, or signposting as possible. Oh, and games that are not developed by FromSoftware. This is a list of the best Souls-likes, not the best Souls games. And yes, we're including Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring under that banner too. Now that that's out of the way, let's get onto the full list. While this is predominantly a list of brutally difficult, beautifully grotesque games that feel connected to Dark Souls mechanically, tonally, and aesthetically, not every Souls-like has to tread that path. Star Wars Jedi Survivor borrows many of FromSoft's signature mechanics, but sends them on a journey to a galaxy far, far away, where the challenge curve is a little gentler, the punishment for failure a touch less devastating, and the stats far more decipherable. A huge improvement on the Star Souls blueprint that was Jedi Fallen Order, Survivor's fantastic lightsaber combat makes full use of dodge and parry mechanics in a system that takes the best of Sekiro and makes it literally hum. Meanwhile, multiple lightsaber stances provide distinct battle styles and help deliver the weapon variety we get in more traditional Souls games. And while combat is vital to the Souls experience, so is exploration, which is deeply enjoyable here thanks to mounts, shortcuts, and fast travel points that make traipsing the numerous planets for loot and lore more convenient and less punishing after death. The original Lords of the Fallen, released in 2014, has gone down in history as a textbook example of what not to do when developing a Souls-like. Among the first developers to try and piggyback off FromSoftware's rising star, CI Games and Deck 13 delivered a body without a soul, doubling down on slow movement speed at a time when FromSoft was about to speed things up. The 2023 sequel/reboot rises from the dead to try again, this time to far greater success, in no small part thanks to a dual realm mechanic that takes corpse running to the next level. Lords of the Fallen is an example of a series getting a second chance at life and making the absolute most of it, and this resurrection was just the beginning. Since launch, it has benefited from a number of massive upgrades, including full cooperative mode and a new sequel on the way. A number of ambitious Chinese developers have experimented with the Souls style in recent years, and Wuchang Fallen Feathers follows FromSoftware's example more closely than its rivals. Set in China's ancient Shu kingdom, your character, the titular Wuchang, is afflicted by a mysterious illness that, if left untreated, will cause her to lose her sanity and turn into a feathered monstrosity. Madness is a core mechanic, but unlike hollowing in the original Dark Souls, it's more than cosmetic. You deal and take more damage as the meter fills, and an inner demon arrives in the world to hunt you down. The only salve is to find and kill specific feathered enemies, which will reset your sanity. There's some debate about which of Deck 13's interactives, the Surge games, is the better one, the 2017 original or its 2019 sequel. These sci-fi spins on the Souls formula both benefit from a Monster Hunter-esque crafting system using dismembered pieces of zombified cyborgs to craft new weapons and armor. But while the sequel scores point for expanding enemy and weapon variety and deepening the combat system, the original is widely considered to have a more gripping, tightly told story and effective atmosphere. As our review explained, the Surge 2's updates and improvements don't quite make up for the loss of charm and character. Team Ninja is a major name in the Souls-like space, and its excellent Nioh series is represented in this list's higher ranks. But in 2023, the studio swapped Sengoku period Japan for Han Dynasty China. Change of location is just the start of Wulong's different flavor though. This time, inspiration is drawn from Sekiro as opposed to Dark Souls, featuring a combat system complete with parries, a depletable spirit meter, and clearly telegraphed unblockable attacks. Praised for simplifying the at times dizzying mechanical complexity of the Nioh games, as well as a new morale system that links enemy resistance to player exploration and battle prowess, Wulong proves a worthy addition to Team Ninja's catalog. Game Science's adaptation of Journey to the West caused a stir with its impressive first trailer in 2020 and had everyone anxiously waiting through its subsequent 4-year development from there. Black Myth Wukong manages to combine the tooth-and-nail gameplay feel of a Souls game with the cinematic pomp of God of War. The somewhat awkward controls admittedly can't always keep up with the impeccable visuals, and so much of Wukong feels like the first-time developers are still trying to find their footing. Still, several of the bosses in its gigantic roster, there are 107 in total, mandatory and optional combined, stand toe-to-toe with FromSoft's best, with Great Sage's broken shell scratching an itch not felt since Gurman, Gale, and Ishin. Neopol's epic revenge tale set in the same universe as its long-running Dungeon and Fighter series isn't everyone's cup of tea, but those who love the first Berserker Khazan really love it. Cell-shaded art style and explosive temper call back to Asura's Wrath of all things, while its chapter-based boss rush format edges closer to Wukong. Infuriatingly difficult, the kind that makes you bounce between resignation and euphoria, is the name of the game here as you master the fast-paced combat that takes cues from Sekiro's parry-based sword fighting and adds a little extra depth. There's nothing here that truly revolutionizes the genre, but there are some very welcome permutations, like how dying to a boss will actually net you some currency based on how far into the fight you got, rather than empty your collection entirely. 2023 has gone down in history as a phenomenal year for Soulslikes, giving us Wulong, Lords of the Fallen, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and the next game to join our list, Remnant 2. Gunfire Games' Remnant from the Ashes, released in 2019, featured one of the more interesting applications of FromSoft-derived mechanics, blending them with looter-shooter ideas to create what was lovingly referred to as Dark Souls with guns. The first Remnant had many things going for it, including some of the medium's best procedurally generated levels, and the follow-up did what any good sequel does: give fans more of what they liked while fixing what they didn't. A dozen archetype classes and the ability to equip 2 different ones at a time make for welcome additions, and the bosses, which were previously a low point, are now a highlight. The best Souls-likes find a way to use the Souls series as a starting point and then leap off from there and do their own thing. None do this better than the Nioh series, one of the first Souls-likes to give FromSoft a real run for its money. It still has all the essential qualities of a Souls-like, but developer Team Ninja managed to tweak each of these qualities in ways that make the Nioh games feel familiar, but also completely distinct. 2017's Nioh expanded the genre in ways now taken for granted, taking cues from combo-heavy hack and slashers. It's still got that careful and deliberate pace thanks to a stamina bar that governs your every action, but on top of that is a key pulse mechanic that allows you to regain that stamina with well-timed button presses after each attack, which facilitates a much faster pace to the action. And while it still features the disgusting monsters and perilous situations demanded of the genre, it possesses a more playful tone befitting its fish-out-of-water protagonist, William Adams, a real-life English sailor turned yokai hunting samurai. However, it's Nioh 2, in which you play a half yokai, that we recommend here. Team Ninja tweaked what little wasn't working while expanding on what did, adding weapons, spells, abilities, and more to create an incredibly deep and incredibly challenging Souls-like. Blending Bloodborne and Sekiro with the 1880s Italian cultural icon Pinocchio, of all things, 2023's Lies of P gives you a tricked-out prosthetic arm, plus Timothée Chalamet's looks, and lets you loose in a steampunk city where automatons have turned on their human masters in a murderous frenzy. Hailed as one of the best Souls-likes of all time, it gets the look and feel of a FromSoftware game down to a science, but still manages to maintain its own flavor thanks to several mechanical changes, such as how dodge rolls and perfect parries fit into the overall flow of combat. This is all further elevated by its excellent Overture DLC, which tells a satisfying prequel story packed with excellent boss fights that are among the best in the genre. Though Lies of P doesn't shake up the formula in any significant way, its premise and execution are cut from cloth so similar to FromSoft's you can't help but imagine Souls director Hidetaka Miyazaki himself playing this in his spare time. And more than any other game, this is the return to Yharnam that Bloodborne fans never got. And there you have it, our pick for the 10 best Souls-like games of all time so far. Did your favorite make the cut, or do you think we need to run back and try all over again? Let us know your personal choices in the comments below, and for more Soulsy action, check out our ranked list of the 25 best FromSoft bosses, and for everything else, stick with IGN.